Bloomington driver who killed Fulbright scholar spared prison, thanks to victim's family. Neftali Ramirez took Erin Randall's life when he drunkenly crashed into her in March. Her family asked the Dakota County judge Wednesday to give him the chance to do something meaningful with his own. She would forgive the defendant, said Laura Pezan, Randall's sister, and I know that she wants me to forgive him, too. The request seemed to resonate with Judge Christopher J. Lehman, who sentenced Ramirez to a year in jail but stayed a 4-year prison term in lieu of probation. Ramirez, a 26-year-old Bloomington man, will serve 120 days behind bars immediately. He'll return for another 120 starting March 8 next year, the anniversary of the Burnsville crash that killed Randall. He was also ordered to perform 150 hours of community service and stay sober. Randall, 34, a native of Le Sueur, Maine, was remembered Wednesday as a loving family member, irrepressible student of the world and tireless worker for social justice and positive change in the world. She was a Fulbright scholar who traveled to Bangladesh to study and combat human trafficking, and was working for the St. Paul-based Wilder Foundation, a non-profit focused on education and social services. Randall embraced struggles and challenges to become a passionate advocate of those without a voice, Pezan said. Pezan described struggling to put her shattered life back together after her younger sister's death, but ultimately resolved to move forward. We can all honor Erin by leading a more meaningful life, she said, adding her sister would ask for a sentence that gives Ramirez the opportunity to help others. Melissa Randall, another sister, described being consumed with anger after Erin's death. But to give way to hatred would be like fighting with my own sister, she said. Ramirez has been given the precious gift of life to start anew, Melissa Randall said. I would ask that he does not waste it. Erin Claudia Randall. Erin Claudia Randall. Prosecutor Elizabeth Swank argued for the full 4-year prison sentence, which is in line with state guidelines. She said that although Ramirez had made strides since the offense, the facts didn't merit a shorter sentence. She detailed the grim facts of the crash. Ramirez was driving at least 81 miles per hour in a 55 miles per hour zone on Minnesota 13 when he crossed 6 lanes of traffic, drove over a raised median and slammed into Randall, who was waiting at a red light while making her way home after an evening of salsa dancing. The impact was forceful enough to push Randall's car 117 feet and tear the trunk off her car. A police officer a few blocks away reported hearing what sounded like an explosion. Swank said when he arrived, he found what he thought was half a car. Randall was pronounced dead at the scene. Ramirez wasn't seriously injured. He recorded a blood alcohol level of 0.26, more than 3 times the legal limit. Ramirez pleaded guilty in July to criminal vehicular homicide. Michael Dorsher, the treasurer of the Minnesota chapter of the Fulbright Association and a communications and journalism professor at the University of Wisconsin-Eau Claire, also asked the judge to come down hard on Ramirez with the maximum sentence. I am here to ask that we not forget that he just as easily could have killed you or me or anyone, Dorsher said in the Hastings courtroom. He also said he prayed that every single time alcohol touches Mr. Ramirez's lips for the rest of his life, that he tastes and remembers the blood of Erin Randall. Dave Risk, Ramirez's attorney, said Ramirez found the thought of drinking again so repugnant that, according to a psychological report, he would be suicidal if he even thought about it. Risk said Ramirez's remorse runs so deep that the same report found it borders on a clinical problem. Addressing the court in halting fashion and at one point breaking down in sobs, Ramirez said he's replayed the day of the crash 1,000 times in my head, and that I'll never be at peace with myself. Although words don't mean anything, saying sorry doesn't mean anything. Please know that I am, he said.